Clerk will call the roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy Charles Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Andy H. Wynn, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4.
Here.
Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation today will be delivered by Pastor Lionel Bailey from the Christ Church Assembly of God in Fort Worth. Appreciate you coming out today. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Let us pray. Dear God, we honor you today. We thank you for the opportunity to be alive and to be well enough to be here. We appreciate the many blessings you have bestowed upon us, our families, our loved ones, our friends. We appreciate all that you do today. The task that we have before us is great. There are many things that must be considered, some deliberated upon, some things put in motion. There are individuals we will celebrate today and thank them for their service. There are those that will plan and put together works and bills to make life a little easier for people. So there's much to do. We are appreciative. Through this process, we ask for a few things from you. We ask for a spirit of wisdom. We ask for a spirit of cooperation. We ask for a spirit of understanding. And most of all, we ask that you would give us the spirit of humanity, to care for all people, all throughout this city, throughout this county, so that the work we do may not only be for the county's benefit, but for the whole state of Texas. And ultimately, you will be glorified because of the righteousness that we put forth, the care that we share, the love that we give, and the hope we provide. So with these, we give you thanks today. In the precious name of our Lord. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Pastor Bailey, thank you for coming out today. We appreciate you. Agenda announcements, Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have several announcements as relates to the agenda. First, we're going to ask under the administrator section, items 9A, 24, and 25, that we hold these at this time. We'll be bringing both of these elements back to you in a future court meeting.
Which ones, 25 and 1?
24 and 25.
All right, thank you.
Also, members of court, we're going to take several things out of order on the agenda this morning. As soon as I complete the announcements, I'm going to ask Mr. Hurley Miller with Ag Extension to come up and to make an announcement to the court. Then after that, we're going to move directly to the administrator section, and we're going to take item number 2 and then item number 1. And that'll all come before the approval of the minutes. And with that, Your Honor, I would ask that Mr. Miller come up and make his announcement.
Morning, Judge. How are you?
Great. Good to see you again, sir.
Morning. See y'all. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Hurley Miller. I'm a District Extension Administrator at Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. I'm pleased to announce Dr. Joan Jacobson will actually be assuming the County Extension Director position here in Tarrant County. I wanted to kind of introduce her to y'all and hopefully reintroduce her to y'all, and then hopefully y'all approve that, and she will do an outstanding job as the County Extension Director here in Tarrant County.
Well, congratulations, and thank you for accepting the job.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's really an honor for me to come back to the best managed county in the state, probably in the nation, and to be a part of the Tarrant County family again. Thank you.
Good to have you back.
Thank you very much.
Now, GK, do we take is there any formal action we take today as a result of, or has that just happened?
As it relates to that announcement, we don't have a formal action item on the agenda. If we need to take any action, what we'll do, we'll put it on for next week. Okay?
Great. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce our Texas State Land Commissioner, Mr. Patterson. Mr. Patterson, come on forward, and he's going to talk with us a little bit about our some of our veterans programs and stuff. Glad to have you here today.
All right, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity just to say a few words and make recognition of the good job that Tarrant County and your veteran service officers doing to take care of Texas veterans. I'm Jerry Patterson, Commissioner of the Land Office, and by virtue of being the Land Commissioner, I'm also Chair of the Veterans Land Board, Texas Veterans Land Board. It's been around in practice since 1837 and statute since 1947, and we do a lot of things for Texas veterans. Low-interest loans to buy land, low-interest loans to buy homes, up to, I think we're at $417,000 max loan amount now, and our interest rates are about a half a point lower than VA, FHA, or conventional. And then we have long-term care facilities, state veterans homes. So it's a great program, but the rubber meets the road in these, particularly in the large urban counties, where the veteran service officer is there, working with the county, knowledgeable about the programs that the VLB offers. And we have some interesting and some very positive news. If you look at the loan volume in Tarrant County, the loan volume through VLB programs, which is home loans, home improvement loans, and land loans, is about $12 million, just exactly, $12 million loans going through the Texas Veterans Land Board. That's not only good for Texas veterans, it's also good for the tax base in Tarrant County. When you turn over property, it generally goes up in value. So that's good for your tax base. It's good for veterans. And as I said, the rubber meets the road with these veteran service officers in the various counties around the state. And your veteran service officer is Chester Slaughter. And so we have a plaque, we have a flag. We can sing, we can dance, whatever we need to do here to make recognition of the good, the good programs and the good effort here. Yes, good, sir. Good to meet you. Thanks for your service. Thank you. So I guess it's just, where do you want to do it? Okay.
Oh, you're going to get the front. You're the one.
I think this man needs to be in the middle. Should be where you want to be. One more. 1, 2, 3. One more. Thank you. All right, sir. Okay. We also have a flag, and let me just close by saying these veterans programs are extremely important and extremely valuable to me. I'm a retired Marine, Vietnam veteran. My son is currently a Marine on active duty, and he's the 5th consecutive generation of our family to have served overseas in time of war. So taking care of veterans is something I do with great personal interest. God bless you, and God bless Texas. And Chester, thank you for the job that you do.
Thank him for his service.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you for your service. And I will, please entertain a motion to receive and file this certificate.
So move.
Second. We have a motion, a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next, it's that time of the year. It's time for our stock show, and it certainly looks like that and I don't know if I want to say this before it happens, but it certainly looks like that we're breaking the trend of the freezing weather on the stock show parade. Yeah, I know. We were just talking about how nice it was supposed to be this weekend, but Mr. Bass, if you would please come forward. Hopefully, I won't jinx that, and it can't. If I do, it can't get here before Saturday.
Thank you, Judge Whitley, honorable commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure and it's a real privilege to appear before you this morning as we gear up for the 119th edition of our county's signature event, the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. I often say that the stock show is what makes Fort Worth different from Dallas. And why would that be? Well, because this annual 23-day celebration of our Western heritage is the product of our frontier roots, the roots and values that in so many ways define who we are and what we are in Tarrant County. We, at the stock show, take pride in teaching each successive generation of kids as they grow up in Tarrant County of our Western heritage, the frontier way. You as our county leaders, I know, take pride in governing our county in the same spirit, sometimes called the Tarrant County way.
Yes.
They have many things in common. And of course, we share another keen interest, economic, developing positive economic impact for the county and its cities. So today I would like to share with you some information on just how substantial that impact is. I'm mastering this high-tech device here. Now we've been taking surveys of our attendees at the stock show regularly since 2003, and we know many things about our visitors: where they come from, what they do at the show, how they spend their money in Fort Worth and in Tarrant County. For example, we know that most of our visitors have been with us before. Many attend the show multiple times each year, and often they've been coming regularly for a decade and more. Now, we also know that we have many first-time visitors every year, and it's no surprise that most of these become regulars in future years. But you know, even we were surprised to learn when we ran all our multi-year data through a rigorous statistical analysis that was performed by Dr. Gerald Grotta, just how much impact our audience, exhibitors, and vendors have. Now, attendance. Last year, we counted 1,148,400 people through our gates during the stock show's 23-day run. Now, that's an average of around 50,000 a day, and though we know some weekend days are slower, on peak weekends we can see over 150,000 visitors in a single day, the equivalent of a not-so-small city. Average daily attendance has grown 41% since 2003, as we've added attractions and activities to enhance the experience of our audiences, exhibitors, shoppers, and fun lovers alike. Now, remarkably to me, more than 80% of all our attendance comes from people who live outside of Fort Worth, accounting for 933,600 of all visitors last year. There we go. What do they spend? Well, out of the $50 million total spent at the show on such things as tickets, parking, food and beverage, rides, merchandise, games, and other activities on the show grounds, out-of-town visitors accounted for more than $42 million of those expenditures. Plus, out-of-town guests spent another $4.8 million on hotel rooms while visiting Fort Worth for the show. Clearly, that makes a significant economic benefit to our city, our county, and our state, not least of which are the revenues generated from sales and hotel taxes. Last year, the city of Fort Worth received more than $1.4 million as a result of spending at the show and by visitors at hotels and motels. And this does not include the spending at other locations while they're here in Tarrant County. The state received more than $3.4 million last year. But the direct benefit to Fort Worth and Tarrant County does not stop there. Livestock and equestrian shows are a huge economic driver year-round, and the stock show plays a role in that as well. Since we moved to the Will Rogers Memorial Center in 1944, the stock show has contributed over $50 million present-day dollars in improvements and new facilities owned by the city. And in addition to these facilities owned by the city, the stock show and its private sector partners have also in the last decade invested more than $38 million in land, parking, and infrastructure adjacent to the Will Rogers Memorial Center. Tarrant County's made a very significant contribution with mobility projects that directly benefit the Will Rogers Memorial Center and enhance its competitiveness as an equestrian and livestock event destination. And these projects not only supplement city facilities, but also they set the stage for a future state-of-the-art, multi-purpose arena that we hope to build as a public-private partnership someday. Hopefully not that far away. Such a new venue as a multi-purpose state-of-the-art arena would launch Tarrant County and Fort Worth and the stock show into the 21st century for all nature of sports, entertainment, equestrian, and community events. But for all this talk about economic impact, at the heart of our mission remains our youth and the impact we can have on their education and growth into citizens and leaders of tomorrow. And at the heart of that is our livestock show, the premier show in America, with over 25,000 head of livestock entered each year. Cattle, horses, sheep, goats, pigs, rabbits, pigeons, llamas, sheepdogs, who knows what. I mean, we will have over the next 4 weeks more than 11,000 junior exhibitors, 4-H and FFA chapters, representing 240 Texas counties. Our sale of champions on the final day of the show will realize more than $3 million, all going directly to the student exhibitors. And in the course of the year, we'll award more than $370,000 in educational grants. So we like to say this thing is legendary, and these are the reasons why. Now, it's my privilege to bring to you, Judge and Commissioners, the badge of honor of the Stack Show, the annual pass badge, which not only symbolizes support and participation for the show, it also is very useful. It gets you through all the gates for the entire show, and as a tradition of the show, we're proud to honor you with each of you an individual badge. I'll ask for the assistance of Mr. Groomer, and I'm going to give you also a copy of the Economic Development Report in full that I've pulled these last numbers from. Now, Commissioner Johnson already has his badge as a director of the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, but here's your economic report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bass.
Like this. Try to give you a badge. And I'll note there's also a badge for a spouse or partner that each commissioner and the judge will receive. You.
Mike?
Thank you, gentlemen, for all you do for Tarrant County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will, in addition to thanking y'all for coming out, I would note that I think we received our annual letter of dunning from one Commissioner Johnson recently about the Junior Livestock Exchange.
It's
So
coming-
it's
coming
time
up.
for us to get our checkbooks out and get ready for the annual contribution to that and to get that going.
I would like to say, too, that I just sent letters out here about a week or so ago, and Mr. Bass has already made his sizable contribution. Thank you, Ed.
We need a motion to receive and file.
I'll move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Again, thank you for everything you do in that regard. And I know we all look forward to the new, modern arena, and hopefully that will be coming along soon. So we're excited about that. Thank you very much. Next, we have the minutes of our special call meeting of December the 27th. Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
I believe, too, we need to thank him for the badges that we received. We
Most
appreciate
definitely.
those.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
They're well earned.
Thank you.
Next, we have our proclamations and our resolutions, and the first is a memorial resolution for recently passed former Mayor Bob Boland.
Your Honor, Commissioner Johnson and I are pleased to ask ratification of this memorial resolution in honor of the life of Mayor Bob Boland, an outstanding friend, an outstanding public servant, and one of the best mayors that the city of Fort Worth ever had.
Amen. Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next is Commissioner Brooks, I believe you have a proclamation on Tarrant Area Community of Churches regarding the 4th Annual Martin Luther King Day of Service.
Yes, this is an effort on the part of the Tarrant area community of churches to turn the Martin Luther King holiday, the day off, from just a day off into an intentional opportunity to improve our community. There will be organizations throughout our community doing works of cleanup and help to our neighbors to make Fort Worth a better place to live. It'll be culminated by a luncheon at Broadway Baptist Church. I believe that's at 1 o'clock on Monday the 20th, and I have the privilege of being the keynote speaker for that event, so y'all are all invited. I move ratification of this, I move approval of this 4th Annual Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service proclamation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next is a resolution, Commissioners Wynn and Brooks, I see you have regarding Arlington Martin Luther King celebration.
Commissioner Wynn and I are pleased to collaborate on the presentation of this particular proclamation honoring the 25th year of celebrating the Martin Luther King birthday in the city of Arlington. Commissioner Wynn?
I'd like to congratulate the Arlington MLK Celebration Committee for being very consistent for the past years in putting together an event to pay tribute to a leader of America, the leader of the world. Dr. King, as I understand it, had a vision, but more importantly, he had the courage and the focus and the discipline to make that vision become reality, not just for himself, not just for the African American community, but for all American and every individual in the world. As you have heard, Nelson Mandela, during his struggle for freedom in South Africa, he looked upon Dr. Martin Luther King as a shining example of conviction and dedication. So Dr. King, to me, is a hero of the globe. And today, we are honored to celebrate his accomplishment and to celebrate his legacy as an African-American man, as an American, and as a great, great human being. So I'll be honored to present this resolution along with the partnership with Commissioner Brooks, and I move for the approval and the ratification of the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. The motion passes unanimously.
And we have several members from the Arlington MLK. We would like to invite you forward. I know Dr. Mitchell, Professor
Mitchell. And others.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank the Commissioners Court and Judge Whitley for this recognition. This is our 25th anniversary of our celebration, which honors, as you mentioned, the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. This celebration is the only 4-day celebration in Tarrant County and, to our knowledge, in the nation. The sponsoring entities include Arlington Ministerial Association, one of our original sponsors, Arlington Independent School District, the University of Texas at Arlington, Tarrant County College, Southeast Campus, and the City of Arlington. We partner with a host of businesses, groups, and individuals who contribute funds and who volunteer to make this year's or each year's events over the 4 days a memorable celebration. Not just for us, but for all, for our individuals and families in our communities, the youth, the adults, as well as senior citizens in Arlington and surrounding cities. Dr. King stated that, "I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear." His love for all mankind through seeking economic and social justice made all of us better people, a better country, and a much better world in which to live. Thank you so much for acknowledging us today regarding this landmark celebration, honoring Dr. King, for he is a national treasure. We hope that we can see you at one of our events this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a certificate of appreciation for service, which is for ratification only, and I'll move its approval.
Second.
A motion is second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And now comes our time of each month where we get to recognize our employees for the service and for their years of service to Tarrant County. And I'm going to find here someplace our list of employees. There we go. And so as I call your name, or what sounds similar to your name as I look through the list, there's a few of you who are going to be a little challenged to recognize your name, I'm sure. But as I call your name, please stand and then remain standing until that particular group is complete, and we'll recognize you all together. Beginning with our 5-year employees, Tammy Barnes from the 213th District Court. Tammy, good to have you here. Alicia Boyd Collins from Public Health. Brittany Carnley from the Medical Examiner's Office. Dawn Kubel from the Sheriff's Office. Sheila Fisher, District Clerk. Jeremy Gallops, Public Health. Domingo Garza, Precinct 1. Calvin Jennings, Precinct 1. Delilah Lopez, Housing. Alan Ludwig, Information Technology. William Meyer, Court of Appeals. Eric Metcalf, Sheriff's Office. Leanne Moore, the 231st District Court. Kathy Newton, County Clerk. Isaac Sa-Miego. Yeah, well, did somebody get up, or did you recognize your name? He's not even here, or we don't think he is. Rochelle San Angelo, County Clerk. Adolphus Taylor Jr., Precinct 1. Mary Tesfaye, Precinct 1. Dustin Thibodeau, Precinct 4. Nicolette Watkins, Juvenile Services. Melody Wilkerson, the 17th District Court. Let's give these 5-year employees. Now for our 10-year employees. Joseph Agamon, Sheriff's Office. Did I come close? Thank you for being forgiving. Frank Canalosi, Information Technologies.
Go, Frank.
Linda Dooling, Sheriff's Office. Kathleen Galton, District Attorney's Office. Susan Howe, Medical Examiner. Carol Lampkins, District Clerk. Janelle Lee, Human Services. Wesley Loudon, Sheriff's Office. Eric Nichols, District Attorney's Office. And Randy Turner, Juvenile Services. Let's give these 10-year employees a hand. Now for our 15-year employees, Keith Barrett, Sheriff's Office. Brian Barron, Public Health. Arcelia Castaneda. It's real easy for y'all to say. Public Health. Do you want to try to repeat that so that I can?
See.
That's why I tell you to listen for your place in the alphabet. And if it sounds anything like what your name sounds like, to get up. Now, I don't think I even pronounced that anywhere near that, but thank you for being here. Now, here's one. Carl Cole, County Clerk. Is Carl here? Carl didn't even make it, but at least that was an easy one. Kimberly Dietrich, Public Health. Vincent Dotson, Juvenile Services. Michael Ford, Sheriff's Office. Where are these easy folks today? Diane Haddock, 233rd District Court. Cynthia Johnson, Sheriff's Office. Yvette Jones, Public Health. Tracy Kirby, Sheriff's Office. I could see her on the edge of her seat. She was just anxious to get up. Eric Martinez, Sheriff's Office. El Morsi May, Information Technology. You want to go ahead and give me that first name pronounced? Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. Jason Pricer, Tax Office. Michelle Sanders, District Attorney's Office. Chad Seals, Sheriff's Office. Donita Smith, Public Health. Susan Strange, Facilities Management. These are our 15-year employees. Let's give them a Now for our 20-year employees, Mark Diebold, Constable, Precinct 5. Helena Faulkner, District Attorney's Office. Bobby Harden, County Criminal Court Number 7. Brenda Hine, 371st District Court. Angela Jones, Sheriff Office. Yay! I was beginning to wonder. Thank you very much. Now for our 25-plus year employees, I've called and talked with each one of them. Our first one was not going to be able to make it. She was going to be out of town today. Justice Leanne Duffino from the Second Court of Appeals is celebrating 25 years with us. So as you see Justice Duffino, please congratulate her. Next is Roslyn Wiley from Pretrial Services, 25 years. There she is back there. Started in the Sheriff's Department in the booking area and was a jailer for a while, then peace officer. And after about 9.5 years, I guess, there went to pretrial and has been there ever since, is now a caseworker / release officer. When I ask about the memorable moments, it was really enjoying all of the programs and efforts that the county has, some of the fitness programs, some of the pen pal. Stability is one of the things she likes most, and some of the lifelong relationships that she's made while she's been at Tarrant County. When I talked to her 5 years ago, she's saying, I hope to be here a lot longer, and we've made it for another 5 years. When I asked her kind of what else had happened over the last 5 years, she said, I've at least began looking toward retirement. Not ready to retire. Want to be here still many more years. But and it's kind of what we as a court have talked about, and a lot of our departments head have talked about. Are interested in focusing on just overall health type issues, both financial. Where this year we hope to really get into a project that will help our employees kind of monitor and look into their overall health, financial, mental, physical, the whole 9 yards. And so I think this is exactly what, to hear this, kind of reinforced what we felt like we needed to be doing. Loves getting to help a lot of people in her job, and has really kind of begun thinking of things that she'd like to do after retirement. And one of the things she said is, I want to keep telling people about what the county government does, because I think so few people realize what we do. And she said, if we ever decide to hire someone to do that full-time, she'd love to be in that position. Roslyn, thank you very, very much for the 25 years of service you've given us. Next is Rhonda Bannister with Precinct 3, Constable, 30 years. There she is. I was looking for you. I knew you were going to be here. Rhonda started in the DA's office, and then from there went to Precinct 7, spent a little time in the Sheriff's office, and has now been, I guess, at Precinct 3 for 13 years. When I asked her about memorable moments, she said the sheriff became I guess while you were with the sheriff, he was a hostage crisis negotiator, family assistance officer, the chaplain's work, and then also a time when you were on loan with the Grapevine Force. What she liked most were the people that she's had a chance to meet, the friendships that she's made. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about her involvement with Special Olympics and what that's meant to her and to her family. Her husband works in the county and has been with the county for, I guess, now close to 30 years. And then when I asked her what she had done since the last time we had talked, she now handles, and I think it may go back to that negotiating for hostage crisis. She delivers all of the family violence protective orders for the DA's office. And what that does is it speaks to her ability to handle what can be a very volatile situation and the confidence that the DA's office places in her, and then also in the willingness of the constables to allow her, or her constable to allow her to do that. She had a chance to work with Darrell, the new constable there before, and has been real honored and pleased to work with him now as he's the new constable there. 5 years ago, when we were interviewing her, she was talking about the fact that her son, Colby, was involved with Special Olympics. In 2011, he went to Greece and won the World's Championship in the high bar. And since then, he is now on the State Board of Special Olympics of Texas. He's been selected for, again, I guess the Special Olympics is every 4 years. But in the meantime, they have a U.S. competition, and he's been selected to represent Texas at the U.S. Games this year in powerlifting. In thinking of that and the impact that that's had on their family, their daughter, Molyn, is now at Stephen F. Austin, and she's getting a degree there in special education. But 4 years ago, she decided that there needed to be an opportunity for young ladies of any age with special needs to compete in a pageant. And so she created the first pageant for young ladies, and the age over the period of time, I guess this has been going on, people who have been involved with this have been anywhere from 6 weeks to, if I think I've got this right, 56 years old. This year they will be doing their fourth pageant. And this gives folks with the special needs an opportunity to really be out there and shine. And this has become so successful. It's referred to as the Miss Sweetheart Special Needs Pageant. But she has had inquiries and has had the opportunities to go to other states to help them as they begin the process of creating those same type of pageants within other states. So a lot has gone on in the last 5 years. Rhonda, we appreciate not only your service to Tarrant County, but also your second-mile service with your children and with your family to help really all of the citizens of Tarrant County and the state of Texas. Thank you very, very much. Great work. Great work.
Great work.
Next is Ann Diamond, 30 years. Ann started out in the DA's office in the civil area, and at that time, Marvin was her chief. She's now, when I talked with her 5 years ago, she was the deputy chief to Marvin, and now she's the chief of the Specialized Services Division. When I asked her about memorable moments, what she said is most of them she can't talk about. They're memorable, but she can't talk about them. When I asked her what she liked most, again, it was the opportunity to serve with folks in the different departments, both inside the DA's office as well as outside, and it was in making a difference that was really helping people. She said that Marvin and this was 5 years ago, Marvin and Tim at that time, the whole office were simply great folks to work with, really enjoyed working with the court. Kind of in saying, okay, talk with me a little bit about some things in the last 5 years. She's currently the president of the Tarrant County Bar Association. And so, again, I think that speaks to not only the respect that she's held within the office, but also from her peers throughout the county. And she said, you know, everything is different. It's a little unpredictable, but that's what she enjoys about the service with Tarrant County. And we appreciate you, and thank you very much for your 30 years. Next is Bob Gill, 30 years. He's now with the DA's office. Judge Gill spent many years on the bench. He actually started off at the DA's office in 1981, and what I guess all the baby attorneys started off in the intake division. Then he moved to the misdemeanor area, and he was elected judge in 1992. And then in 2008, he came back to the DA's office and is currently over various parts of the felony trial division. He said, when talking about his memorable moments in this, are you at 30 years or 35 years? 30. I didn't think I was going to give you. It'll get there quick enough. Don't worry about it. He said, you know, getting a chance to come to work for Tarrant County was a real privilege in his time frame, and then having the opportunity to have worked with Tim while he was the DA. He said another memorable moment, kind of on the other side with the judge, was when you're elected judge, you get your portrait hung, and that was a very, he said that's a very memorable moment for me. He said some of the cases that over the years that he's had a chance to be associated with, both as a judge and then also in the DA's office. What he liked most was the fact that he had a chance to give back to society, and the fact that he had a chance with some of the people that he's had a chance to work with. Judge Gill, Bob, we appreciate very, very much the 30 years of service you've given to Tarrant County. Thank you. Next is Don Harris, Sheriff's area, 30 years of service. Started out in patrol. I guess you were there when they started the narcotics unit with Sheriff Carpenter. And I have this in my notes, and I didn't refresh myself on my notes 5 years ago, but I think what this is implying is basically what he said was, here's you and one other person, they gave you $200 and said, get after it. And you did. So we appreciate very much that department continues to well serve Tarrant County. He then went back into patrol. He was then he went to investigator with CID and was the youngest one in the department. He was promoted to the first paid permanent position sergeant position in narcotics, and then ended up as a supervisor in the HIDA and is now the watch center commander there. The memorable moments were, again, when the narcotics unit was first started, and then, again, many folks in that sheriff's department have been there for long enough to remember the helicopter crash. It was something we remember, and it was definitely a memorable moment. When asked what he liked most, it was the camaraderie that he experiences in that department, that people, they stay with the department, and that, it's just a family from that perspective. And he's enjoyed very, very much many of the supervisors. He actually started out as a drill instructor in the Marine Corps. He said he feels like he's been blessed with opportunity to stay and to advance within the Sheriff's Department. When I asked him kind of what's happened since the last time we talked, he said, you know, with all the funding crisis, he's seen how to go up and down, but he said it's still a great place and it's still a great job that they're doing there. All his kids are grown. He said, I really enjoy the county. It's been a great place to work. And Don, we appreciate very much the service that you've given to Tarrant County. Thank you. Next is Jim Masulich with the Sheriff's Department, 30 years. Started out in the patrol division, served on the release desk, classification, went into judicial services, and is now at County Court at Law Number 1, and has said, you know, this just is a great place to be. Really enjoys that. What he likes most is the fact that it's a steady work, long and steady work, and then the benefits that he receives. When I asked him, and again, a lot of this was 5 years ago, but he said he never thought he'd be here for as long as he was, and that was 5 years ago. So you've made it for another 5, and I hope I'll see you in another 5 from both perspectives. Had a daughter who was flying helicopters, was a helicopter pilot and was flying Black Hawk, and she had at that point in time just been promoted to a major and had just gotten back from Iraq and had received the Bronze Star. And again, that was 5 years ago. When I asked him what had happened since over the last 5 years, he said, well, I hope I've grown a little bit wiser. I've definitely grown older, but I hope I've grown a little bit wiser. On the 20th of this month, he will be celebrating his 46th wedding anniversary. And his daughter has been back to Iraq, but is now serving in D.C. at the National Guard headquarters. And we kind of talked about, well, I'm not really sure what she does, and I'm not sure I could tell you if I did know what she does. But we appreciate very much, Jim, your service to Tarrant County, and also please thank your daughter for her service to our country. Thank you. Next is Judge Pat Fergul. Judge Fergul, 35 years, probate court number 2. He actually started as a municipal court as prosecutor for the city of Fort Worth. He was a tax attorney for Fort Worth for several years, was judge at one of the municipal courts, chief judge of the municipal courts in Fort Worth. Got a phone call one day from one of the city council people. Now, that could be taken both ways. Got a call from one of the city council persons encouraging him to run for this. So did he want you out of the city, or did he want no, the judge, I guess you were the judge of the county court at Law Number 1 runoff in 78, and then took office in 79, and then was appointed by the Commissioner's Court when a new probate court was established in September of 1981. When I asked him about memorable moments, he indicated that he recalled that on his first jury trial, he did not have a courtroom and ended up having to go to the convention center because the courthouse at that point in time was being renovated. He also remembers some of the civil commitments at JPS, and then when he started, he was one of the, I guess you were probably the first judge that actually decided to carry some of the cases and hear those out in other areas and in some of the other sub-courthouses. And I know that's been a very successful and something that's been very appreciated by the citizens in other areas of the county. He loves his job, indicated that, he enjoys the attorneys that he's had a chance to work with. he just loves people and has been very good at what he's done. He never dreamed he'd be here this long. There's several folks who always say that. I mean, I think that, you feel like this is kind of a filler to the next, and then you get to the point to where you really love public service, love the people that you have a chance to work with, and love what you're able to do for the people who come before you. He said he's kind of a frustrated social worker. And at that time, when I talked with him 5 years ago, he said, I'm looking forward to my 35th anniversary, and here you are. Since last we talked, the office has been expanded, continues to be expanded because we continue to get older, and we have many more needs in our population of our county. So it's kind of a double-edged sword from that standpoint. We've given him one new investigator, and then the associate judge has been made permanent from that standpoint. And he, like I, are very, very happy right now to be running unopposed. A memory and a thought that is constantly brought up every time I pass one of these political signs that I see post, that I remember the post hole diggers putting those things in the ground. He said, I simply love the job, I love the staff, I love what I get to do. Judge Fergul, we appreciate very much the 35 years you've given service. You bet.
My associate judge, Lynn Morissette, please stand up. I see my court investigator, Attorney Jeff Arnier, would you stand up? My court coordinator, Tina Clay. My court administrator over there, Stephen Fields, Attorney Stephen Fields. The guardianship auditor, Mike Grover, attorney. And I see my social workers, Denise Bucket and Cindy Brown. And and there's Arlene Shore. Stand up, Arlene. And Charlotte, she is our assistant court investigator. And Charlotte Hogan is my deceased estate auditor and has been with me, Charlotte, stand up, since March of 1982.
Wow.
We've been together. We know each other very well.
Say so.
And I'd just like to say, I say he said, I love my job and I like my staff, or I like my staff and I love my job. It's that close. And thank you all for being such loyal, dedicated, highly professional people. Worth it.
Thank you. Now that represents about 810 years of service to the county. That's a lot of service, and each one of you in this room, whether you were recognized today or not, you keep adding and you keep providing those services, and for that we are eternally grateful. The citizens of Tarrant County are, for the way that you do it, for the way you approach your jobs. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything that you do for not only the folks within your departments, but the citizens that you serve every day, regardless of where they may be in their lives at that particular point in that particular day. Thank you very much. Refreshments in 504C. Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
You sure about those refreshments?
Consent agenda?
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? And that's with the two items removed that Mr. Manius mentioned during his announcements.
That was the motion.
Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next, we have a public hearing regarding from our Transportation Department. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, gentlemen. We're requesting today that y'all conduct a public hearing to consider the placement of a stop sign on Windy Canyon Way at Ricky Ranch Road. We've looked at this intersection, and we believe it needs a stop sign there, so we're requesting your approval.
At this time, I will open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone here wishing to speak to this matter. There appearing to be none, then I will close the public hearing and ask for any action the court may wish to take at this time.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have some additional items this morning. We can go to item number 3 on the administrator's section. We're requesting that the Commissioners' Court concur with actions of the Hospital District Board of Managers and approve a commercial lease, which is located at 200 West Magnolia in Fort Worth between the Hospital District and Westmont Properties.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the court, if we can go to item number 4, I'd like to give you a little history or a little information as it relates to both 4 and 5. Section 551.0725 of the Texas Government Code is the Open Meetings Act, or part of the Open Meetings Act. And this particular section surrounds contracts that are being under negotiation by the Commissioners' Court. In order to bring a contract into closed session for discussion, there has to be several findings. First of all, there has to be a finding by the district, or a concurrence and finding by the district attorney that that negotiations in a public setting would jeopardize or handicap the Commissioners' Court in successful negotiations. And then the second is that that the Commissioners' Court needs to approve or make a determination that it is in the best interest of the county that we take this into closed. So this deals with a contract as it relates to discussions that have occurred at staff level only between the City of Fort Worth and Tarrant County as it relates to jail operations. What we're asking you to do in item number 4, the district attorney has made his determination. We're requesting that we receive and file the written determination by the district attorney's office regarding possible deliberation of the Fort Worth jail contract negotiations.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the court, on item number 5, we're requesting that, subject to section 551.0725 of the Texas Government Code, we're requesting that the Commissioners' Court make a determination that open meeting discussions concerning the negotiations of a contract with the City of Fort Worth would have a detrimental effect on the position of the Commissioners' Court, and therefore the Commissioners' Court should deliberate these negotiations in closed session.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, court members. If we can now go to item number 6. Item number 6, we're requesting that the court allow the county to use the results of an RFP, which was conducted by the Conference of Urban Counties for companies, as it relates to companies that specialize in scanning, extraction, and redaction software. You might remember as we went through the budgetary process that there was a new bill that became law, which was Senate Bill 1611. It creates a new requirement that certain information that is in the possession of the district attorney's office, some of the information be redacted as it is released to the defense attorneys. The CUC has completed an There were two companies, Computing System Innovations, and the second company was Extract Systems. The District Attorney's Office helped CUC in vetting these two software programs. They're both exceptional programs. What we're requesting is that, and we've been working with purchasing on this also, what we're requesting is that the court allow us to use those results in our attempts to purchase the software.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the Court, on items number 7 and 8, Ms. McMillan is going to address the court on those issues.
Judge, Commissioners, on the first item, we're asking the court to consider finalizing the tax abatement program for the $38 million expansion of Horizon Milling for their expansion and modernization of their facility in Saginaw. The City of Saginaw has approved a 5-year tax abatement at 100%, and the attached agreement provides for county and hospital district participation at a maximum of 40% for 5 years. We're asking you to approve participation and the agreement and approve the resolution certifying Tarrant County's participation.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
The next item is the approval of foreclosure properties located and held in trust by the City of Fort Worth. The City of Fort Worth holds over 700 foreclosure properties in trust for all the taxing entities to which property taxes are owed. In November, they put up 373 of these properties up for public bid. They received bids on 291 of these properties. The list of the properties is attached, and the city is asking us to consent to the sale of the properties at the bid amounts shown in the attached list.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? So this will get all these properties back on the tax rolls.
The 291 of them.
Yes, sir. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Members, we have two additional items. On item number 9, we're requesting that the court enter into agreement between Tarrant County and the Council of State Governments Justice Center to provide a study related to the measurement of recidivism at the county level.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Finally, members of the court, on item number 10, we're requesting that the court approve an interlocal agreement between Tarrant County and Texas Health and Human Services Commission as it relates to lease of facilities at the Resource Connection.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Tidwell.
We have two items for the court to consider this morning. The first is to approve the release of approximately the $99,885,000 of collateral as listed in your court communique.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our other item is we're asking the court to receive and file the Tarrant County financial statements for the 1-month period ended October 31st, 2013.
So move.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Ms. Snyder.
Risk Management Board is recommending the payment of 4 claims. They are each listed on your court communication. They are also all related to Sheriff's Department accidents, but they are recommending their approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Rayburn.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Elections is requesting that the Commissioners Court approve a revised list of early voting sites for the 2014 primary election. The court approved a list of locations on December the 10th, and we told you then that we were still looking for a replacement site in Grand Prairie. We had lost a site that we had been using. So we did identify a site with the help of the City of Grand Prairie. So we're asking you to approve the revised list with the addition of the Grand Prairie Lake Parks Operations Center.
Move for approval.
Second, and that's the only change from the December
Yes, sir.
list.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Phillips?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is requested that Commissioners Court approve a professional services contract with Elements of Architecture, Inc. for architectural and engineering services to replace and upgrade building systems in Building 2400 at the Resource Connection and provide interior renovation design for the State of Texas Health and Human Services Commission tenant space also in Building 2400.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
It is requested that Commissioners Court approve an interlocal agreement with the Texas Department of Public Safety to open and operate a driver's license office in the Miller Avenue Administration Building, 3500 Miller Avenue, Fort Worth.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Just for information's sake, we're going to have a ribbon cutting on that particular facility a week from today at noon.
At noon?
At noon.
You going to serve food?
You going to leave court early?
I'm going to be at the ribbon cutting.
Okay.
We could lose a quorum, I guess. Ms. Glenn?
Good morning.
Morning.
We have several items for the court this morning. The first item, we're asking the court to receive and file the personnel agenda.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 2, we're asking the court for approval to conduct a request for a proposal process to consider supplementary employee health benefits plans. The court may recall in years past, periodically we've looked to the market to see what the feasibility, availability would be of various policies. One of the areas that we'd like the court's permission to pursue would be to look at the marketplace to evaluate programs that we believe would perhaps aid to fill in some of the gaps in our coverage. One of the things that we've talked about in the past is short-term disability coverage. The county provides long-term disability coverage at no cost to all full-time employees. While we do have a generous sick leave accrual policy, we don't officially have, for example, short-term disability. So this would be just one of the examples of coverages that we'd like, again, just to look to the marketplace to see what the feasibility would be of offering those programs to our employees.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
I have one question. Will this add to the richness of all health benefit?
At this point, what we're anticipating is that if these programs were to be rolled out, that they would be at the employee's costs, not Tarrant County costs.
This would be something like
This would be
Aflac.
like, correct. It would be a cancer policy, short-term disability. And again, at this point, our position or our thought process would be that employees would actually cover these programs at their own cost, not the county's cost.
And hopefully by the county doing it as a group, then we might be able to obtain
Take advantage of better
lower
pricing.
premiums for our employees.
Okay.
So we would not run into a problem with the PEBC.
No, sir.
About our benefits being different from.
No, sir.
Correct.
And again, and that's a good point, certainly all of the entities that belong to the PEBC, we have what are called core programs that we all have in common, that we approach the marketplace as one body regarding, but all of the entities, for example, have different coverages outside of those core programs. So this would not pose a conflict.
Any other questions? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 3, we're asking for approval for an out-of-class pay extension for information technology. If approved, this would be the second extension granted in this instance. The court should know that recruitment is underway to fill this position, and IT is anticipating that this position will be filled before the end of April. We're estimating an impact to the general fund of approximately $5,800.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. An impact to the general fund of $5,800.
Yes, sir.
We're paying somebody to fill into a role that is vacant.
Correct.
So why would it not be a benefit? Because the role, the position that is, are we backfilling the position that individual would serve?
I don't believe so, but I follow where you're going. Because we do have salary savings in the vacant position.
Yeah, so I don't understand why we would have.
So we're not backfilling that position, are we? No.
Okay.
No, there's definitely Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
The information security officer position is one of the new director level positions that IT reconfigured following the reorganization. Since then, because of the critical role of that position, we requested an existing employee to step up to, so to speak, hold the fork down for that to a filler. While we go through a recruitment process, we had actually gone through one successful recruitment effort, but the candidate that we found, who was quite qualified for the job, did not pass a CJS background at the end, so we had to reopen the position. That accounts for why we are having to
redo this.
Yeah, redo this.
Okay.
So once we currently actually have interviews scheduled for this week, and they will run into next week, and we do have a good cast of candidates, and I'm optimistic that we may be successful, but I've been before and it didn't quite work out. So that's why we're asking for this second extension.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 4, we're asking the court to approve a waiver of terminal benefits for the Fire Marshal's office. Mr. Renoir's administrative assistant retired at the end of December. At that time, she had 380 vacation hours. Mr. Renoir is requesting a waiver of 356 of those vacation hours retroactive to January 4th. We're estimating the net fiscal impact to the ESD Fund 1 to be approximately $5,800.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our fifth and final item, we're asking the court to approve organizational changes to the County Administrator's Office and Constable Precinct 8. We're asking the court to transfer the Chief Deputy Constable's position from the County Administrator's Office to Constable 8, effective January 15th, which I believe is tomorrow. There's no fiscal impact.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Beecham.
Morning again.
Again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
We have 3 items for your consideration this morning. Our first item is a bid award recommendation for bid 2014-016. It's a bid for structured cabling system project for the new civil courts building. Recommendation will be toward the low bidder, DMI Technologies, the amount of $337,396. If this is approved, we're seeking contract approval as well as acceptance of the payment and the performance bond.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 2 is also a bid award recommendation for bid 2014-032. It's a bid for the purchase of Net IQ software licenses for IT. Recommendation will be toward to Sumas Industries, the amount of $48,757.55.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our last item is also a bid award recommendation for bid 2014-035. This is our annual contract for the destruction of 8-liner machines, CRTs, and mixed electronic recycling. Recommendation would be to award a per unit price basis to LRT Lighting Resources, Texas.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, Commissioner Fickus, I believe you have an interlocal agreement.
I do. Bear with me here. There you go. I think it's this. City of Hurst. Yes, I move approval of the interlocal agreement to approve renewal of our agreement with the City of Hurst related to improvements to pipeline.
Now, mine says we're doing it for the city of Bedford.
Bedford. Well, what did we?
And it says Martin and,
Right. Martin Drive and Park Avenue, Cummings. Bedford, work on Martin Drive from Park Avenue.
okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote.
For A and B.
Motion passes unanimously.
We got it through.
We've got the shovel out of your hand. Don't keep digging.
Okay, get it out of my hand.
Appointments. I would like to appoint Elizabeth Trevino Dawson to the CPS board. She has, we've conducted the background and she's passed, so.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Any other appointments? There being none, then you have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of claims and the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Briefing items, Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. We have several items to bring to the court this morning. The first is the monthly update from the hospital district. Mr. Early is here to address the court at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Manius. Your Honor, Commissioners, thank you all very much. Wanted to give you an update. I had told you in past meetings, and we'll be going through this process for the next year on negotiating various contracts with our physicians. We had been negotiating the first contract, which is a contract with our general surgery department. In hindsight, I'm not sure that you should have a contract that ends on December 31st because that does occupy Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, but that's when it ended, so we spent some time up at the hospital district with the physicians dealing with that issue. I had told you that if that contract did not work out, we were prepared to do whatever to keep the hospital district running properly and efficiently for our patients. I'm happy to tell you that that contract did work out, and I want to thank the general surgery team. They worked very hard. We have some very strict guidelines for them, particularly surrounding cancellations of surgeries and on-timeliness for clinic visits and those type of things. But I'm very proud of general surgery, and I'm proud of what they can do, and I think they've stepped up to the plate in a major way. So wanted to let you know that is working out. We'll continue to go through the additional contracts, and we'll do it in the same manner. We have some basic principle and guidelines by which all contracts will be debated upon, and then we'll look at the nuances that each contract needs to play out for that particular service line. But compliments to our surgery team, our trauma team, and all for now having a contract in place that we can all work with together. And I will keep you all up to date on the next contracts that are going forward. The other thing I want to make comment of is anytime the hospital district is dealing with any issue, when you deal with over 1.1 million patient encounters in a year, you're going to see a variety of circumstances of all types. When you're a level 1 trauma center, you're going to see a variety of all types of cases that are going to come through that front door and through that trauma door in particular. In each one of those cases, our goal as a hospital district is to make this community proud. In everything that we try to do, when we're trying to save a life, when we're trying to deal with split-second decisions that come through that front door, it is our goal to make you as elected officials representing this community proud, and it is our goal to make our community proud. We use their tax dollars, and we want to make them proud for everything that we do. And that's always a goal that we have every day. So it's a guiding principle for us, is to well serve this community. We also want to be able to use our medical knowledge and the medical knowledge that we have to make the decisions for anybody that we would care for in any case. And that medical knowledge is enhanced by the fact that we're a teaching hospital. That medical knowledge is enhanced by having an open medical team that anybody can join our hospital, and they can also practice at other facilities. So we have some great individuals in our organization. So we have great and wonderful medical knowledge. We also want to combine and parallel that medical knowledge with the best possible care for our patients at all times, whether the patient is in our clinics or whether the patient comes through our trauma doors. And the last thing that we always want to do, which is a guiding principle, is follow the laws that are set before us. And that's what we will always attempt to do in any case that we see, in any case that we have. So I want to tell you that I'm proud of the people that are at JPS. They're working very hard. We deal with challenging situations every day, every minute. Some are more high profile, but none are any less to the individual family and the individual people that you love and that you care for, and the pain or the anguish or the joy or the wonder situation that we have in the healing process. So those are our guiding principles, and we will follow those guiding principles on any and every case that comes into the JPS Health Network. So I want to thank you. I want to appreciate all that you've done for our community, and we will continue to do everything we can to best represent that community and all their health needs. Do you have any questions, Your Honor, or Commissioners? I'd be happy to answer them.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you very much.
I commend you on the progress you're making on physician contracts.
Thank you.
Especially the fact that we're now holding people accountable for delivering the services to the public for which they are being paid.
Wonderful. And I appreciate that very much. And I have been very delighted by the response that we've received when we've asked for that level of accountability from those that are practicing there, of learning that it is indeed a new day at JPS, and we're proud to reckon that new day.
Well, yesterday after our visit, I think you'll be proud. I came down to McDonald's to have a late lunch. And after about 5 minutes of deliberation, I ordered chicken wrap salad, 570 calories, apple slices, and iced tea. So all in all, it was a healthy meal. So McDonald's have gone a long way.
I can't tell you how proud I am of you.
Thank you.
Judge, Commissioners, thank you also very much. I appreciate you all very much. I appreciate your guidance.
Plug in for McDonald's. My boys would love that.
Checks in the mail.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Members of the court, we're now going to item number C, which is a public health date. Mr. Jones is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning.
Good morning. Just want to give you a quick update on the typical thing that's the big issue in our community this time of year, and that's influenza. We are following the same trajectory in the way of incidence of influenza we did last year, in the way of influenza-like illness that's coming into the clinics and hospitals that report to us in our surveillance system. However, there is a difference. Last year it was one virus. This year it's another one. It's H1N1. And this is the third round we've experienced with this virus since 2009. The difference between the viruses tends to result in younger people having more severe illness. We've noticed a greater proportion of people in the 24 to 64-year-old age group having a greater proportion of illness in our surveillance system. What we experienced in 2009, and this is the pandemic virus that went around then, now it's just the seasonal virus that comes around every other year. It tends to affect younger people, pregnant women, and people who are obese. So far, and as of this morning, we've had 5 deaths that we know of reported to our department in this season, 1 in December, 4 for this year. Those are those that we know of. There are other people who are dying as a result of influenza that get secondary bacterial infections. That doesn't include them. It doesn't include people who don't get reported to us. We know it kills hundreds of people a year in our community. Of those who have passed away, We've had one in their 30s, two in their 40s, and two above 70 years of age. Underlying conditions in all but one. One person was vaccinated, however, had several comorbidities and was a very ill person to begin with. What we're doing so far, our outreach workers are going out to different businesses and public places promoting, get your vaccine, get your vaccination, so I'll promote that to you, assuming you've all received your flu shot for the year. But for those who haven't, we are ramping up to our peak, our annual peak that occurs anywhere from January to February. And it looks like we're going to get it in January this year. Get it now. It takes 10 to 14 days for it to really start being active. So for festivities that are coming up, it's good to be healthy. And if you are sick, we ask that you stay home. So that's what's going on with flu. Any questions I may answer for you?
What is the availability of flu vaccine in our community?
Anecdotally, we've heard some shortages or people are running out at the community vaccinators like the pharmacies. At our department, we have vaccine for people who are uninsured. We recently got an order in, and we've ordered more. We haven't run out, and so we have enough for people who do not have insurance. For those who have insurance, it's a matter of calling your physician, calling around to the CVS, Walgreens, Targets, whoever that you can find the vaccine. As we get later into the year, and in particular the private industry that has this vaccine, they don't want to overorder because it just sits there and goes to waste. And so we're getting to the part of the year where we're going to find that supply running short.
As I recall, when flu shots were first offered to our employees, we were told that there were two types of vaccine. There was a trivalent and a quadrivalent. And we offered the trivalent. What is the difference between the two, and what would have been the effect had we offered the quadrivalent instead of the trivalent?
The only difference between the two, and the trivalent's the more traditional one, it covers for 3 viruses, 2 different A viruses and 1 B. The quadrivalent's 4 viruses, it's the same 2A, 1B, and adds another B to it. So far this year, in our surveillance system, over 96% of the isolates we're looking at are type A, H1N1. We've had a couple of Bs reported to us, not much. So the important thing for B virus coverage is that it tends to create outbreaks in nursing homes, workplaces, or jails, tight congregate settings, and it's important there. As far as the community, not a lot of effect at this point.
Good.
And if you're older, getting the quadrivalent is probably very good.
Define older.
My age and above. I'm in my 50s.
You're qualified.
Above, so.
Is there a cost difference?
Beg your pardon?
Is there a cost difference between the two?
I don't know the answer to that. I would imagine there is because it's newer, but I don't have that information on me.
Once again, we're getting the reports of all of the different counties and the number of deaths. You mentioned 2. You mentioned 5. What I most recently heard over the media was 2. And obviously, Dallas next door has a tremendous amount larger. Any speculation and I realize it would probably be just that, but any speculation as to why one area would experience such a...
It's most of that, and it's not speculation, it's the reporting system. In 2009, 2010, during the pandemic in the state of Texas, it was required for hospitalized patients with flu to be in the ICU or pregnant women to be reported as a notifiable condition. And in 2010, after the pandemic passed, that requirement was dropped. So all the counties except our neighbors to the east did, and they've maintained that system. So what they have is actually, when they get those reports, it's a better system. What we're getting to us is what the facilities voluntarily report to us and think it's important. It's not systematic. And so that's why I preferenced our 5 deaths with that's what we know about. We do get reports from the hospitals that feel like they can report to us. There's 1 or 2 in the state and the county. They don't have a good grasp of the number of influenza cases necessarily in their hospital that die. And then we watch the medical examiner's reports, which we haven't received much yet from there. Those tend to come in later. as the number of deaths. So in Dallas, it's a more systematic thing. They've been working now for 4 years.
So in effect, I'm going to repeat what I think you just told
Okay.
me. I think you just told me that the outlying facilities were required to report something prior to 2010. That's no longer a requirement, and so many of them have stopped reporting those things to you or to the medical examiner's office or to the state.
To the state.
And over in Dallas, the agencies may have continued to report even though it was not required.
Correct. They maintain that system.
Okay.
What I heard him say was that Dallas County continued to require it, and we didn't.
And I should have said they continue to work that system. It's one of those things in state rule that is required, and so it's no longer required there, because that's the way we all under the state rule. But you can work with your reporters to build it up or maintain it, and that's what they did. So, as far as flu is concerned, well, I guess that's all the things about flu and vaccine, making sure you get that. Any other questions?
I'm going to go back to the whooping cough, and I know that you addressed that, I think, the last time, or I asked this question at one point in time. Should we get that vaccination? And if so, does the Public Health Department offer that vaccination?
The recommendation currently is for any adult who has not had what's called a Tdap to get one in place of a tetanus shot. So theoretically, you get one every 10 years as a tetanus shot. One of those should be replaced with one that has pertussis included. If you're a grandparent and you haven't had that and you have a new one coming along, it's very important to do it then, because you want to cocoon that baby who cannot get a shot with people who are not infectious, who won't get the disease. So that's the current recommendation.
You go back, and I fit right in there. I've got a grandchild supposed to be coming in March, and so I need to get a Tdap.
Yes.
And I can get that from the public health or from my primary care.
You'll need to go to your primary care. We have our Tdap, our vaccine that comes in, I hope I'm not misstating it, it has certain restrictions on it for the uninsured with the new reform and things going on. So
just go to my primary care physician.
Right.
And if I would have he'll know then at that point in time whether I've gotten one recently or not.
If you've been with them for a while, they should have your record. So now it does differ since you've got one coming. The current recommendation, this is rather new in the last year, every pregnant woman should get a Tdap in their third trimester of their pregnancy. So whereas the rest of us as adults may get one and as in our adult life, a pregnant woman gets one every pregnancy.
My daughter-in-law is already telling us that if we don't have that shot, we ain't going to see the grandbaby.
So that's a good motivation.
Shot. Yeah, I'm gonna get the shot.
So thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Members of the court, if we can now go to item B under the briefing. This is the strategic planning efforts. I think we sent some material out to you yesterday afternoon. Also, we have some in your red folder as it relates to this particular item. Just to recap, as you know, we were going through a strategic planning process. We chose 6 goals, and we've asked you all to prioritize the objectives. We've now received those objectives and have begun to develop initiatives that are associated with each one of those objectives. I know that we provided the material for you yesterday, and I have to apologize we couldn't get it to you sooner, but with the holidays and with people having off and some illnesses, we were not able to develop this until, finalize it until yesterday. This is really a draft discussion item, except for I would like to also talk more in depth about Goal 1 and Goal 5. What I will do is very quickly go over each one of the goals and state the objective, and you have that in your document. The first one is the financial policies and practices goal. We had 3 objectives: develop financial policies and practices to enhance and strengthen the county's financial systems, implement an evidence-based budgeting process, and develop a strategy to address the ever-increasing costs of health insurance. We took several of the objectives that we had listed, and really those objectives were initiatives. So we moved some of those objectives over into the initiative area. We've had meetings with the county auditor, the county budget director, and HR, and our staff in trying to develop these initiatives. And really, I think that it conforms to what the court has been attempting to, or what the court wants to accomplish in this particular goal. For example, in Objective 1, the initiatives would be develop a written policy concerning financial reserves, develop a policy relating to the use of external cash balances, the debt management issues, and to give you recommendations for your consideration, and also to develop a debt management policy. The interesting thing about Goal 1 is that, in reality, the court and staff have been working on these for quite a while, for several years. And a lot of this is to bring these documents back to you, or these policies back to you, for final consideration and then adoption. As it relates to evidence-based budgeting, which is Object 2, you can see that there are some of the initiatives. We're educating ourselves as it relates to all the ins and outs of evidence-based budgeting. This particular item here is going to be a much longer-term element than the first objective, because shifting on how we do our budgeting, though we do have metrics that we currently collect, to go through those metrics and define and work with the court and the different departments in defining which are meaningful metric elements is going to take some time, and so, but we think that we're on the right track as it relates to that. And then the third one, which addresses the cost of health insurance, Ms. Glenn is going to be leading that effort. Again, this is an item that we have continued to work on for the last couple of years, and we just need to bring it to some conclusion with the court. I think that we've actually accomplished a lot in this area, and we simply need to formalize those particular elements. On goal number 2, we have one objective.
Back on goal number 1, I might just add, and I think I mentioned to a couple of y'all this morning, this Friday we have one of our first wellness committee groups. It will be meeting at 1 o'clock here at the county. United Healthcare is going to come and is going to, at that time, bring some examples and talk to us about the steps that we might go through. And I hope that we know that there are going to be 3 of us here, so we're posting the meeting. But I would strongly encourage not only any one of your staff that would like to be here, but also the department heads or other, representatives from the other big departments. Because if we're going to go forward with this, and that's still going to be up to the court, I think we're going to have to do it very quickly in order to be able to roll this out and have it really ready to go by next year, 2015. And so I hope that you'll, and then regardless, we'll update the court. I've asked that HR be prepared to update the court after each one of not only our county meetings, but also anything that occurs at PEBC in this particular regard, because we've got till 2018 to try to make some pretty substantial changes or efficiencies or cost savings. If we don't, then we're going to pay some pretty big money to that. But even more importantly, just as that employee that I recognized this morning said, everybody's very interested, I think, in that overall wellness of that deal.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have time clock. We were going to make the announcement on the meeting on Friday, but we have already time clocked that now, so we're within the 72-hour period on that. Members of the Court, we can go to item number 2, or goal 2. This is the operational efficiency and productivity elements. This is still a goal and objective that is under development. As I said, we there are some that we believe that are farther along than others. This one here is one where that we understand, and also the governing for results policy that the court approved requires that we establish productivity metrics to gauge the effectiveness of our departments. And also, we're going to be working with IT and other partners as it relates to, making sure that we continue to update our strategic information technology plan, and also that we basically research the availability of software that will help us manage these metrics and measure them and give them to you so that you can see how we're proceeding as we move through that process. On goal number 3, this is the organizational culture goal. We have 2 objectives. One is to improve employee communication and satisfaction, and also one that deals with innovation and excellence. Ms. Glenn is working on the first objective, where we anticipate, or we would like to consider doing an employee satisfaction survey. If we're going to improve something, we first need to know what it is, at what state we are, and once we do that, we can move on to more definitive programs that the county might want to implement. The encouragement of innovation and excellence, we put this as a holder as it relates to trying to create ways of innovating encouraging our employees to do new and innovative processes. And we had a program at one time at the county where that we rewarded our employees. And so we want to do some more research on that and bring the court some recommendations. In the area of goal number 4, this is an external looking one as far as employees, or as far as satisfaction and also collaboration at the department head level. We're continuing to, one of the things that we do well, I believe, in comparing Tarrant County to other counties in the state, is that all the elected officials basically work together. We have a common problem, and we try to move forward collectively to solve that problem. We're going to continue to do those type of activities to gauge how the citizens are satisfied with what the county does. We're going to ask the court to allow us to do a citizen satisfaction survey to once again see what citizens know as to what counties do, and also how satisfied are they with the services that we provide, plus are there other services that the counties are authorized by law to provide, if any of those will be of interest. So this, again, will be a fairly long-term issue, but it's a continual effort to make sure that it raises the awareness of the public as to what we do, and to gauge from the public's view how good we do those services or provide those services. If we go to goal number 5, this is the transportation goal. This is, when I first started, I said I would like to focus on 1 and 5. Quite frankly, I think the court is ready at this time to move to begin serious discussions about a strategic transportation initiative or plan. So we've engaged with the Director of Transportation Services, and a lot of this goal is to process and to develop the RFP and to go through the process of selecting an individual or a company to assist the county in putting together an overall strategic transportation plan. I believe that we're going to have some information next week on this particular item, and I think that our objective and our initiatives are well documented to accomplish that goal. And then finally, members of the court, number 6 is the economic development piece, or the goal. We're working with our economic development manager and looking at doing some things that make, really become more transparent as to what we're doing and the impact of what our economic development activities have been so far. We'd like to do an annual economic development report have elements on the website so that people can look at that. Our tools and our policies and our forms that we use as it relates to economic development, we want to make sure that they're all available for the public to see. One of the things that we'd like to do also is to try to research and identify opportunities for enhancing how the county's ability to do economic development. That's more of a long-term issue where that it may require additional legislation. It may mean that we collaborate with not only cities and school districts, but also our private partners. A lot of our economic development prospecting, if you will, is done by the Chambers of Commerce and also larger private developers. And I believe that we have a good relationship with those, but we're going to go back and strengthen those. We're also going to commit our reaching out to the smaller jurisdictions who may not have those resources and see if we can be of assistance with them as it relates to economic development. So that is a very brief overview of these 6. I'm not asking for any, I want to give this to you as just a document, a draft for you all to look at. Obviously, after we absorb some of this more, there may be some changes that you'd like to see. I do think that we've started on a good positive step. We've gone some distance in fleshing this stuff out. I would ask, though, that because we've talked about Goal 1 and Goal 5 to a great extent, I would ask if you have any comments on those 2 particular items, because if not, we want to start moving forward, especially on the transportation piece, and bring these other elements forward, both under the financial piece and under HR, and basically get a comment or a indication that we're on the right track on item 1 and 5.
I feel like we are. I mean, we covered it well here.
And my only thing on the services of a transportation planning consultant is whether or not we bring other partners into that process of developing a plan that is going to, I think the plan that we're going to develop there is going to be one that we have to partner with all of the cities and all of their staff as we go about doing that. And so I don't know whether or not we hire the consultant or whether the collective group be a part of that process. And that's a discussion that I would like to at least explore with, and what I felt like we were going to do was to sit down with our initial meeting, discuss what we were looking at, see who was interested in participating in that, and then from that, outlining what the next steps would be.
Your Honor, I understand what you're saying, and I think there's that opportunity to do this. All we're saying is that, like next week, we'd like to start talking about an RFP and have a more in-depth discussion on just the things that you just brought up.
I think that's fine, but at what point in time are we going to engage the other players in this county who, without whose help or assistance or agreement, we can't do anything?
Hopefully that's something that this court is going to talk about next Tuesday and try to give staff some guidance on that.
Okay.
TK, on goal number 1, to avoid a situation in which goal number 1 is exactly the same as objective number 1 under goal number 1, may I suggest that we edit goal number 1 to read something to the extent of enhance the county financial strength and effectiveness? That's it. And that way,
sure,
they'll kind of broaden the goal a little bit, and then it will make a little bit more sense and logical, I think.
Okay, that sounds good. Any other changes or modifications? If you all just let us know, because I'm not asking for a vote on this today. I just want you all to start thinking about it so that we can begin moving forward as it relates to this.
So do we need to officially adopt goal number 1 and goal number 5 or whatever? Or how are we going to do that?
You know, I think I've heard enough now so that I can give directions to staff as to how we'll begin to proceed. We'll continue to have this as a discussion item, not every week, but whenever we have something to bring back to you, it'll be on the front burner until we hammer this thing out specifically.
Okay.
Your Honor, that's all I have on that. I would like to make an announcement as it relates to court meetings, if that's okay with you. The judge indicated that Friday at 1 o'clock in 504C, we have time clocked a special call session of the Commissioners Court to talk about health-related issues. We're not expecting any action. This is a work session itself. The reason that we agendized this and time clocked is because we believe there may be a quorum of the court there. So any of you that want to participate or your staffs will then, that meeting will start at 1 o'clock. Second of all, if you'll check your calendar, I believe on February 4th that the majority of the court will be at a meeting with County Judge and Commissioners Association, and we will not have a quorum at that time, and therefore we are not going to be holding court on the 4th of February. And then in March, the first week of March, is the NACO conference, and we are not going to have court that week also. So the court meeting of February 4th and the court meeting of March 1st, we are not going to meet.
Good deal. I would bet that's February 4th and March 4th.
Is that what I not said? Didn't
You said March 1st, but I think it's March.
I'm sorry, it's March 4th.
That's the election day.
Yes.
That's the election day.
Yeah, that is also election day.
Your Honor, that's all I have. We do have...
We have an audience participation. Mr. Brent Camp, I believe, is here to speak to a certain issue. If you would please come forward, give your name, address, and I will say that the item which you've indicated you wish to speak to is not on our open agenda, and therefore we can't respond back, but we certainly appreciate you taking the time to come and speak to us today.
Absolutely, thank you. My name is Brett Camp, and I'm representing AIDS Healthcare Foundation, located at 400 North Beach Street in Fort Worth, Texas. AIDS Healthcare Foundation is the largest global provider of HIV care. We have over 279,000 patients in care across the globe. Bringing that locally, we are currently providing HIV care to 286 people in Tarrant County living with HIV and AIDS. On behalf of the 286 people that we are providing care for, our community partners of which are here with us to show support for the services they're receiving, and also the Tarrant County community, I want to thank you for this opportunity to give you a brief overview of the value of the services that AHF provides to people with HIV. We are respectfully requesting a small amount of Ryan White funding, which I know that Will Higgins will be presenting that information in the closed session. But the importance of this small amount of funding for the people living with HIV and AHF is very important, and I'm coming to you to ask for thoughtful consideration as you go through your closed session and realize that this small amount of funding that we are asking for can be stretched and provide even more care for even more people by leveraging the stamp of endorsement that Tarrant County is giving AHF by allowing us an entrance into the funding for the Ryan White funding for people living with HIV in Tarrant County and the surrounding area. This will have a broad impact on the public health, the health outcomes, as well as the quality of life of the people living with HIV in Tarrant County. We feel it's very important that they have choices, and AHF started our operation in Tarrant County to give people an option for medical care, and we're really here to complement good services that are already being provided, and we will be good stewards of any available funding from Tarrant County Ryan White.
Thank you, Mr. Carr, for being here today. We appreciate that. Again, as we said, we can't address the matters right now, but we appreciate very much you coming out.
I've got a question, if I may. He said that he had community collaborators with him.
Yes.
In support. I'd like to know what organizations they represent.
AIDS Outreach Center, and then we have community members living with HIV here today. We've got people from our AHF Public Health Department and our clinical services.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Camp. We appreciate you. I see that Mr. Schiller's come in. We appreciate you being here. You've got him.
Richard Schiller, who is going to be our manager of maintenance in Precinct 3, starting, I guess, technically Saturday. Is that correct?
And I guess you were gone long enough that I'll probably get to recognize you for your second 5-year anniversary after HR takes away all the years that you had because you were gone. So
we're proud to have you back.
Proud to have you back. At this time, the Commissioners' Court will recess the open session and proceed to court. Having returned from our closed session, we'll now address the following matters.
District Attorney's section. Item F1, we're requesting that the Commissioners' Court approve the filing of the documents as it relates to the DDA VP indirect purchaser litigation.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Please note that Commissioner Johnson is not present. There being no further business, we're adjourned.